Hi everyone, this is going to be a short video on my Excel estimating sheet that we use in the Architectural and Building Technology program in our building construction estimating class. You're going to see a lot of information on this Excel sheet, and a lot of these numbers are actually coming from the work that we do in the 15 weeks we're together in the semester. And I have our students working on everything from cut and fill of the foundation that's being put into the site to the concrete needed for a new construction foundation plan. We look at framing packages to understand how they come from the lumber yards. We look at cost estimating by a square foot, per square foot concept, as well as getting true construction estimate costs from our subcontractors and our vendors. To be a good estimator, there are really three key ingredients. One is to be a historian, and a historian, I mean to be able to access history in the building world. So whether you're doing a new construction house, an addition, a remodel, a house flip, take good notes, right? Keep an organized system behind the scenes. Remember, the mistakes that you made, like the intro to this week that I talked about. When you lose money on a job at the end of it, you're going to remember where you lost it. You're going to remember if you're the one who made the mistakes and or who made the mistakes, because you might not hire that contractor again if it's somebody that you hired that ended up costing you money in the long run. So there's a lot of different ways that we learn as estimators from the history that we've worked on prior and or the history that the company has worked on prior. So if you get hired through the building industry as a construction estimator, you will be looking at the data of that company from years and years of experience that they've gathered. You need to have organizational skills as well too. And organizational skills, I mean, remembering, where you put all the different quotes, being able to go back to your files and find certain information that might pertain to a new job. So really looking at the difference, looking at the things that are the same, similar items that you find in a new project that you might have from an old project. Being able to go back to that file is critical for me, especially as an estimator in the building industry for many, many years. And I've learned to be able to, organize myself in such a way that I'm able to go back to these projects pretty easily if I see something, or if a client comes to me that has a similar project. One way that I organize myself is online. Online meaning the cloud-based services. I use Dropbox to hold all of my job information, some of my personal information as well too. I do pay a fee for that because I do have quite a bit of files in there over the years. So the larger your files get in these cloud-based services, the more money that you might have to spend. But I believe Dropbox is free for a certain time, so you can kind of check that out. There's a couple different other ones out there. I like Dropbox because one, it's kind of what I'm familiar with, and two, it's easy for me to scan documents and upload them into my Dropbox as PDFs. So if I'm on a job site or I get a quote from someone and I want to be able to quickly save that information to my cloud organization tool, I can do that right on my phone, scan it. It saves it as PDF and I'm putting it in the proper file all right on my phone. So it's been very convenient for me to be able to store my information. I also love to have hard copies of everything. I'm still very old school in the sense of I still have all my hard copy drawings that I do for projects. I still have all my hard copy estimate sheets that you're looking at right now that I print out and put in the file. My quotes, any kind of information that I find related to that project is still all going in a file. So I still have all my hard copies that I put in boxes and store them away as the years go by. So that's two different ways that I can be organized and be able to access my history, right? My data from past jobs. And this third skill that I've learned to have and that we talk about is visualization. So being able to visualize what is going to be entailed to create a proper estimate. So that's just comes from years of experience, educational tools that you can use, going to classes such as this, or maybe taking the certificate program in an architectural building technology degree, where we really focus on estimating, management, sustainability, design, and being able to start training yourself to be more visual, to pick up on the different things from past experiences of mine, as well as the other professor in our program. But just being able to visualize what could happen, what needs to happen to be able to create a very cost-effective, good budget and estimate. All right, so let's get into this. So as you can see, and I'll upload this so you guys can have this. Again, this is for a new construction house, so it's very large. There's a lot of information on here. This literally is from spring. Right now, we're finishing this. This is our last week, actually, in class, in my building construction estimating class for spring 2021. So there's a lot of really, really good information in this Excel sheet. And again, I'll post this into our, the Excel sheet, actually, I'll post into our course content. You can see that I have rows of information, and I'll talk about that a little bit, and then columns. I have sub-labor, I have materials, I have other, and then my total. My total is my sum, right? It's the sum of B, C, and D. D for other, I will typically have, if I get a quote for the glass shower door in the master bathroom for $1,200, that's materials and labor. So I'm not going to be able to cover everything this week in week 5 of our class together, but sometimes we can break things out into labor and materials, and sometimes I get quotes for labor and materials together. So I just kind of either tuck that over here in the other column, or sometimes I'll tuck it into the sub-labor column. You can always add notes to your Excel sheet. Excel is one of the easiest estimating tools that I've used and that I've learned out there myself. Very easy formulas, very easy organizational skills to be able to do this, and then just learning a few basic commands or what am I trying to say? The auto sum up here, tools. No, I can't think of the word. Anyways, moving on. So Excel is one of the easier programs for estimating out there, because again, it doesn't take much to learn some of the formulas. That's what it was, formulas that you can use to be able to create a legit building construction estimate. Now, I will update this to show it as a smaller project, so you will have all of this information for new construction, and you can always pull pieces from this and create your own. Again, this is just one person's way of doing a construction estimating, mine. I've learned, I've seen this completed in different ways from the individuals that I've worked with, and I've decided to take bits and pieces from everything that I've learned and create my own. So I'm sharing that with my students, including you guys. Typically what I'll do is I'll break down the specific bathrooms and kitchens, because those are really critical to get our costs completely accurate so we don't lose money. These are the big money makers, right? When we're selling houses as well too. So being able to understand costs associated with each individual room is really important for you to cover your costs. I see that I have a couple lines right here that are not carried over. So again, what you want to do is you want to take these 3 columns and you want to add them all up in your total sum column. Very easy to do. As you can see, if I'm here in the half bath, all I do is I highlight all of the boxes in the row, and then I come over here to auto sum, and it will add up all of the different items. Another way to do it, takes a little bit more time, is if you came over here into the total column and you did auto sum. Sometimes it'll jump into whatever it wants. So then you have to adjust this blue box to say, no, I just want these items included in my sum. But Another very easy way is to, you have to make sure you go all the way over so the number ends up in the last cell that you highlight to do this auto sum technique that I'm doing right now. So again, as you can see, I have everything broken out from built-in cabinetry, granite countertops, plumbing fixtures. This plumbing fixture amount, $2,400, would include everything but the tub. You can see the tub unit right here is $800. This $800 is a legit accurate number as of right now. It's for a Sterling tub unit. That means the tub and the wall, the 3 walls that you have in your tub unit. So it's about 800 bucks. I'm telling you it's Sterling because that is one of the best tubs that you could purchase out there. Now, can you get a tub cheaper? Absolutely you can. You can look at Home Depot and Lowe's and things of that nature and see that you can actually get tubs for $300 to $500. I'm telling you, those tubs are not of good quality. And if you stood inside a tub, I don't know if you've ever been in an area or maybe even your own house, if you stand inside the tub and you have any kind of bounce on the bottom part of your tub, right, where you're standing, that's a very cheaply made tub, and or it wasn't installed properly. There's different ways that we can install these tub units by putting down a base of concrete and then putting those tub units in it to give it a solid foundation. So if you are going to go a little bit cheaper on some of these things, think about other techniques that you could do to enhance the stability of these items, such as the tub unit. Again, putting down a concrete base before you install that tub is going to give it a very solid foundation. Or just make sure that you know the product that you're purchasing. The $2,400 is everything that's included in the bathroom. So this is the sinks, this is the sink faucets, this is the shower heads. This is a high number. We actually were doing some research in our class on plumbing fixture numbers. These are not numbers that you're getting from Home Depot or Lowe's. And as a house flipping course, I do want to let you know that, yes, I know that, budget is key. Making profit is key. Of course it is. Even in business owning of building new residential homes. That's why we build them, right? That's why we start businesses, to make money. And you should, and that's okay. But don't do it on the expense of buying cheaper products from the big box stores. Plumbing fixtures is huge. You want to be able to go to a plumbing supply house. There's many, many plumbing supply houses locally that you can get these fixtures for a decent rate. There's all sorts of manufacturers out there for plumbing fixtures. Just watch what you buy from the big box stores, because they're not going to be calling you when their kitchen faucet breaks, 6 months from now if you bought it at Home Depot. But it's not very sustainable if you're buying a really cheap kitchen faucet that is going to break in 6 months, because where's that faucet going to go? It's going to go right to the landfill. So why not spend the extra $50 or $75 on the kitchen faucet and make it just a little more special so it lasts longer, so you have a good reputation as well too in the long run of flipping really good houses. That was one of the important things for me. That's why I'm stuck on this plumbing fixture conversation right now, because, I worked for a lot of builders, not a lot. I've worked for a few builders and new construction. And I got to tell you, the plumbing fixtures was always the cheapest thing in the contract, because when you're building houses, you don't make a ton of money in the long run. We make more money by flipping houses, but the plumbing fixtures was one way to be able to get additional money. So you give them cheaper plumbing fixtures, manufacturers, not from the big box stores, but cheaper manufacturers such as Delta. Delta is one of those faucets that you could get for 90 bucks. It's not very fancy. It's chrome finish and whatever. So, clients that are building $400,000, $500,000 houses, they're not going to want a Delta kitchen faucet for 90 bucks in their, $500,000 house. So they're going to choose something different that's going to cost more. And that's where a change order gets generated in contracts, because a change order is something that's above and beyond what you've allowed in the contract cost. So these plumbing fixtures, you typically go in new construction as allowances, an allowable price for you to choose, X the item that you're looking to choose. So plumbing fixtures was a big one. And when I started my construction company, I went to the plumbing supply house myself, and I chose a little bit higher than contractor grade, as they called it, plumbing fixtures. So that way my clients would have a more realistic cost in their contract, but as well as when they went to that supply house, they weren't going to be surprised by getting this $90 kitchen faucet. The faucet that I chose was more in the $190 range. So they had a little bit of flexibility. They could go down to that cheaper one, but they could also choose one that more met their allowance within the contract. All right, so mirrors, sometimes these are included in construction, sometimes they're not. Kitchen, you can see over here that all of my plumbing fixtures within the kitchen, in this particular kitchen that we're estimating, it does have a pot filler, which is above your stove. Sink faucets, you can see that these are plural. There were 2 sinks, a sink with 2 sides, garbage disposal, and then a vegetable sink, we call it, right? So it's the other little tiny sink that you just specifically watch vegetables and fruits in. And so each one of those has to have a faucet. And then a pot filler is quite expensive, actually. And so all of those things, and it depends on the finishes that you're putting on your plumbing fixtures as well, too. Chrome is going to be one of the cheaper ones, and oiled rub bronze is going to be one of the more expensive ones. So your plumbing fixture prices will change depending on what finishes you want to be able to accomplish in your project. This right here, you can see cabinets was $18,000. If I go back up, materials and labor, just to remind myself, this is the labor, $5,500, and this particular kitchen was going to cost $12,500. Don't worry, you're not going to be spending this on a flip, right? This was a custom built cabinetry, and countertops was only $4,500. So obviously you could see that the cabinetry was going to be of a higher, maybe not quality, but higher quality, yes, because they were custom built. So there was a lot of labor involved in that custom build. Not my labor to install them, but the labor for the cabinet maker. So that's where you're getting that $12,000. Now, I just built a house a year and a half ago in Springfield that we actually used a kitchen from Eco Building Bargain. I believe I may have mentioned this already in our class, but it was a gorgeous, gorgeous white kitchen with glass doors and everything else, and absolutely beautiful. And I want to say she spent about $6,000 on the cabinetry, and it came with appliances. And I believe I had showed you a video of a kitchen that I did for a flip that was a refurbished kitchen, and I got all the appliances as well. And I sold the appliances, and I was able to make some of my money back. She used some of her appliances. I believe she just gave the other appliances back to Eco Building Bargain, which you could get a tax write-off if you do anything with Eco Building Bargain or Restore, any of those kind of stores. If you're going to submit materials to them, you could get a tax write-off. So business, we always want deductions in our businesses. So that was a good way to do it. But it's also a good way to be able to save money. So I could definitely see us using Eco Building Bargain kitchens and things of that nature on house flips. You could get a really beautiful kitchen for a very reasonable price to put in, and it could look just about brand new, right? So anyways, a little good paint goes a long way. So as you can see, I go through the laundry room and mudroom as well too. So just breaking out everything. This is a great organizational tool for you to be able to use. And again, I'm going to send this to you. Please feel free to just delete things. All you have to do is highlight. Whoops. All you have to do is highlight. Hello. It's not letting me highlight anything. There we go. Highlight the row. You right click on it and you can delete as needed and or add as needed. So please feel free to utilize this to your benefit. Front deck area. I always do any exterior decks, patios, things of that nature. You want to break those out for costs. Mechanicals and subcontractors. Here's all of our numbers that we're working on for our subcontractors and vendors. So this is material and labor. Going down. Yep, see, so I still have a few more of these that I need to add in for this last week of classes in the estimating. So we're finishing up our flooring this week. and then profit and overhead. Whoops. Oh, did you see what I just did there? I gotta undo that. I had 2 rows, so always being careful and mindful of what is happening here with these numbers. I remember I did an estimate just a little bit ago, maybe a year ago or so, on an addition, and I forgot to carry over one of these numbers, and the number was $6,000. And all I did was it was here in the materials, or in the labors. It was a material and labor kind of a thing. So whichever column it was in, I forgot to bring it over here to my total column, because you see what happens at the end here is we come up with a construction cost. We have to add our profit and overhead, and then a final construction cost on here. So my final construction cost had $6,000 missing because I did not bring it over. Like, see this $950 right here, $950 is better than $6,000. But, you know, by not bringing it over, you're actually hurting yourself because it's not being calculated into the total construction cost. When you get to the bottom part of this, if you double click on it, you're going to see that this is blue. So I'm taking the sum of all of these numbers in my total column, and I'm adding them all up to create this construction cost. Profit and overhead I'll speak about a little bit, and then wrap up this video. Profit and overhead. So typically in new construction estimating, we use percentages to be able to figure this out. And new construction right now is anywhere from 10 to 12% each. 10 to 12, 8 to 12, I'll say, because it depends on what kind of a company you are and how long you've been in business. What kind of reputation do you have? What kind of houses do you build, right? You know, so yeah, we could play around with those percentages a little bit. The 12% is the high end custom builders that are building those 5,000 square foot houses, right, all day long, and the Peacoids out there and whatnot. So it's the higher end businesses. They have a lot of employees. They have a lot of very specific finish detail work that they include, higher end cabinetry, all of the above. So their profit and overhead is going to be at the higher range, in that 11 to 12% range. When I first started, I was in the 8% range, and I still am. I don't go up too much on it. I do make money off of some of the materials up above here as a general contractor. So I've learned that 8 to 10% is a pretty good average for me when I'm doing new construction houses. For smaller projects, those percentages are going to increase. And the way I look at it, the way I fluctuate my percentages, is overhead's overhead. This is all of the costs associated with you running your business, right? So I run my business out of my house right now, so I don't have a lot of overhead. Yes, I have a vehicle that I drive to my job sites. Yes, I use paper. Yes, I use electricity for my computers and paper and such, right? Internet services to be able to use the Dropbox and things like that. My cell phone bill. Again, my car, my mileage that I'm using. Overhead costs are not really high for me right now. When I had when I owned a business and we had 13 employees, huge overhead, right? My overhead sometimes outweighed my profit percentages, because the overhead I had to take care of company vehicles that we had. Some of the employees had gas cards, right? So, and all sorts of different expenses. Profit's profit. Profit is going into your pocket after you've paid your rent, your electricity, your cell phone bills, any gas receipts that you have to have, you know, all of that stuff. Profit is profit. And that should be going back into your company and or into your pocket. So, you know, if I did 8 and 8, that's 16%. We're going to be adding 16% to this overall construction cost. So that's where those numbers would come into play. I'm not going to do that right now because I'm still working on this Excel sheet with my class, with my estimating class. So that's pretty it. That's the breakdown. Feel free to look through this, and if you have any questions related to this Excel sheet or the numbers that are associated with this, please feel free to ask. At the very bottom, I don't think you could see this because hang on one second. Okay, a little skip in the video there. There we go. I just extended the view for you to see that down at the bottom. There's there's other tabs related to this Excel sheet. So in my business, what I do is I also have a final cost, which is anything related to what's on the description of these. I'll bring it over here into the A column, and then I'll do the contract cost. I'll do the estimate cost by the vendor, so you can actually keep track. Maybe you'll have multiple vendors in here or subcontractors to be able to choose what prices best fits your budget and what you're trying to do. What the final cost was, and was there any profit and loss on the number from my existing contract price. Item breakdown. This is just for accounting in your business. A running tally. So, this is just, again, for the business part of things. Change orders. So if there's any change orders, such as the plumbing fixture, CCI, this was actually a company that I had owned that I created this template in. Allowance sheet. Your allowance sheet is that allowable cost that you're using for your plumbing fixtures. So you're putting here plumbing fixtures, allowance, $2,400. Actual cost, $3,600. So the $3,600, the 24 I would take from the 36, and that would be my overage for that allowance. So this is just a really nice way to be able to review this with your client if you're building new and or additions, remodels, things of that nature for clients, to be able to, one, keep track of it for yourself, and two, be able to share this with your client. Cost breakdown. So this is just overall cost of the contract, payments that I received and or that we created through the contract. So that's all that is down at the bottom. Feel free to use it and or not. Okay, great. Thanks so much. Thanks for listening. Talk soon.